North America's national park of speed is Road America. Just over 4 miles around. And if we're talking sports car and GT racing, then surely we've got to talk Porsche, which is fine because that's what we've got next in the pit lane. A stunning array of over 20 brand new for 2021 Porsche Carrera Cup racing cars. On the new 992 body shape, they'll be taking on one of the ultimate challenges in road racing. Elkhart, Lake, Wisconsin and Road America. Just over 4 miles around, 14 corners, and coming into being to take racing off the public roads. Which happened here up until the mid-1950s. It was thought not to be a good idea after a couple of tragic accidents. But what the local clubs wanted and the local businesses wanted was something that reflected the local road system. So it's up and down and it twists left and right. It's a brilliant sight and sound to hear the flat sixes fired up. Jeremy Shaw is alongside me, John Hindorf in the Global Broadcast Centre. And Jeremy, take us through the runners and riders for our first of 2 races this weekend here at Road America.
This is round 7 and 8 of the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by the Cayman Islands. As you say, 30 cars. We've got 14 Pro 992s, 8 Pro-Am 992s, and 8 of the older 911 991 chassis cars as well. Starting at the back, making his debut this weekend in car number 95, a second car for Irish Mike's Racing. That's Conor Flynn. Alongside him, also making his first start of the season for Flying Lizard Motorsports. Great to see that team back in action. Car number 68 is Chris Belomo. Tom Balamis will start for Kelly Moss Road Racing, car number 59 in the 28th position, alongside Craig Conway in car number 97 for Irish Mike's Racing. Kurt Hunt in car number 24 for ACI Motorsports, and Goldcrest Motorsports Grady Willingham will start in the 13th row. On the front row of the grid at 4991, Jeff Myshak for Goldcrest Motorsports in car number 29, and on the pole position as the championship leader is Matt Holcomb. The grid for today's race set by the championship position because qualifying yesterday was rained out. Another debutant will start in the 22nd position. That's a new pro class entry from the Dominican Republic for MRS GT Racing, car number 16 is Jimmy Libre. Alongside him, Vernon McClure, car number 10 for TPC Racing. Row 10, Bill Smith, car number 42 for Top Racing. That car repaired after an incident yesterday. Alongside him, Tim Pappas, car number 54 for JDX Racing. John Goetz will start in the 18th position, car number 57 for Wright Motorsports, alongside the number 69 BGB Motorsports entry of the Canadian Tom Collingwood. Third fastest, or third position on the grid in Pro-Am is number 17 of ACI Motorsports, that's Kurt Swearingen. And the top 2 positions on the grid, the car number 65 Team Hardpoint EBM is Efren Castro, and the points leader for iFly Kelly Moss Racing is number 99 is Alan Metney. Moving now on to the pro category. Car number 88 Hunt McKenna for Wright Motorsports in the 13th position. Row 6 is Ryan Gates for 311 RS Motorsports in car number 11, alongside Eric Johansson from Sweden in car number 14 for MRS GT Racing. Row 5, Sean McAllister for JDX Racing, car number 2, alongside Sebastian Carrazzo, car number 27 for Kelly Moss Road and Racing. Another car was repaired after the incident yesterday. Row 4, Maxwell Root for More Speed Wright Motorsports in car number 7, alongside Dylan Murray in car number 38 for BGB Motorsports. Row 3, TJ Fisher, car number 58 for Top Racing, alongside the second of the Team Hardboard EBM entry to car number 53 is Riley Dickinson. Row 2, the veteran Lee Keane in car number 12 for 311 RS Motorsports, alongside the Canadian Parker Thompson coming number 9 for JDX Racing. And on the front row of the grid is all Kelly Moss Road and Race, the 2 championship leaders, Seb Prio in car number 15, but on the pole position, the first time he has started from the pole position this year, is the championship leader from the Holland. Car number 3 is Kai van Berlo.
Quick run through the grid from Jeremy Shaw in perfect order as we get ready to go green. 45 minutes on the clock. The drivers will have to get the best from their Michelin Pilot Sport tyres. The N3 version of these tyres, 18-inch rims on the race cars. And Kai van Berlo on the inside for Kelly Moss Road and Race. Leads them up at a very slow pace. He'll press the loud pedal when he feels he's got the advantage. I thought he might have gone coming out of turn 14 when everybody else had their wheels turned. This is going to be a proper sprint down into the first corner. The right-hander at turn 1. People almost pulling out the line behind because they're going so slowly. Green flags in the air. And Von Berlo with the white and green car jumps ahead. He's followed through by Parker Thompson in the JDX racing car, running in the white and red colours. That's left the young Channel Islander in the Multimatic car, the gold and blue car. Sebastian Priaulx slightly hung out to try, and he's going to drop down, I think, to 4th position here. Battling it out with the 53 of Riley Dickinson from Team Hardpoint EBM. And that's an awful start. We've seen just how much the inside line can take control of the starts in the run up to the green flag, and immediately Priaulx tries to get back one of the places. Long run from further back for Lee Keane in the 311 RS Motorsport, the all red Porsche just in front of the bright green. It's the top racing car of TJ Fisher, I think, right in there as well. Watch out for Maxwell Root fighting his way through. Max getting ready for a trip to Le Mans for the 24 hours. Looking forward to that later on in August. Lovely move down the inside early on for the MRS GT racing car. That was Johansson in that number 14 that went down, but someone's gone in. Oh my goodness, it's the 38, it's the bright green Kermit car. That's Dylan Murray who's gone off, and he's not getting out of there, Jeremy. Not without help anyway.
Yeah, he's not, is he? No, that's unfortunate. Oops, there's another incident. That's Jeff Myshak.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that is a big one. That's Jeff Myshak in car number 29, one of the Goldcrest Motorsports entries. He was second in points in the 991 category coming to this weekend, just 13 points behind Matt Holcomb. And that's going to bring out a full course caution.
Well, either one of those, I think, would have. That was coming down towards the kink out of the right-handed carousel, and Jeff's car with severe damage on the left rear. Not so much of a problem for the Murray car, so the 38 car getting sideways and the gravel doing its job, all good at that point. Obviously disappointment for Dylan Murray, but that car will come back to fight another day. Now what happened to Jeff? Oh, Jeff just pushing too hard early on, maybe didn't get the Michelins at the front up to temperature and pressure, got onto the grass. There's been rain here, not pure mountain spring water, but actual rain from the sky, and the grass is still damp. And once he was on to the green stuff, Jeremy, there was no coming back. Speed across the track from off the track to the left to impact with the wall on driver's right.
Yeah, I think a little bit of inexperience there from Jeff Myshak. He's not been done an awful lot of racing in the past. He's been super fast this season, though, done a really good job. But unfortunately, you get off on the grass there, and you've just got to be real patient because the grass is still wet. They've had a lot of rain here, a lot of rain yesterday, and so yeah, you've just got to be just get the car back on the asphalt rather than trying to keep your speed going. And I think he tried to carry a bit too much speed on the grass, kind of lost it even more, because running wide is one thing, but then losing control after that, that's the bigger problem. And that was a heavy impact with the inside wall there. So great shame for Jeff Myshak. He had just had a really good season. Last time out, he scored his 2 first wins in succession at Watkins Glen, so that was a great weekend. This one, not so much for Jeff, and that's a real shame, particularly for him, because this is his kind of home race. He's from Orono, Minnesota. There's not that many races here in the northern states, so this is the closest race to home for Jeff, and that'll be a very disappointing end for him.
Meantime, Dylan Murray will be disappointed in the BGB Motorsports number 38, the bright green car, but that car will live to fight another day. Jeff's car, I'm not sure. That's a lot of damage, and it took a big whack to the left rear. Engine and gearbox at the back of these cars. That's a awfully badly damaged racing wheel. that will have transferred a lot of that impact, Jeremy, down the drive shaft and into the gearbox. There's a lot of work there on that car.
Yeah, there is a lot of work on that car, so that's coming in here second in the points, just pretty close behind Matt Holcomb, who's had 3 wins this season, been on the podium every single time in the first 6 races, has Matt Holcomb, but his teammate there, Jeff Myshak, that's going to be a big dent, figuratively and literally, unfortunately.
The IMSA safety crew already there and dealing with it. Jeff out the car, by the way, should have said that, and moving around under his own volition, but being watched obviously by the safety crew. Now here's good news then for BGB. Dylan Murray is back on the track. I've got a feeling though, Jeremy, that he has lost a lap in that bright green car, and I don't think he got out of the gravel before the safety car came around, but he is back in the race. Now there's will be a pass around here. Yeah, he has lost the lead lap, so he's down to the end, the last position in the pro category, but that at least he's still racing, and he'll get some opportunity to get a bit more experience under the Michelin tyres, which might stand him in good stead for the second race of the weekend. Very, very bright green, almost Porsche lizard green, that colour. Really evocative of Porsche racing cars of days gone by. This is not going to be a straightforward recovery, Jeremy, for the blue number 29, I'm afraid, because that car's got suspension damage front and rear, and the Goldcrest Motorsport Rain Spring motor car is going to need some persuading, I think, to go onto the flatbed.
Yeah, it's not happy, is it, that car? That was not good, and very unfortunate for Jeff there. They're going to, there's a lot of damage front and rear on that car. I don't know whether that car's going to be ready for tomorrow. I don't know. The Goldcrest team, they generally carry a lot of cars around with them. They ran, I think, at least 5 or 6 cars in the first round of the championship. That was back earlier this year.
And that is one of the older cars, so there are a few of those cars around. That is a 991 Gen 2 car. So that isn't one of the newer cars for the early part of the season, and certainly when everybody was testing the brand new cars at Sebring, all the drivers were told by their teams and by Porsche Motorsports North America, take it easy guys, we've got no spare shells. We had 20, I think there was 21 or 22 came into the country, they were all allocated, there were no spare shells for those cars. It didn't seem to slow them down in any way, shape or form. That spare supply, of course, is coming through, but with the older cars, at least there are some of the cars around, and as you said, Jeremy, Goldcrest have a few of them. Whether they've got a full spare car here that entry could be transferred onto, that is a question, of course, that only the team can answer. Start the race, we had the front row filled by the Kelly Moss Road and Race teammates, 2 young chargers who really have been battling out the whole season. Kai van Berlo was on pole, Seb Prio in second place, now has dropped down to 4th, but those 2 youngsters, part of the new generation, Jeremy.
Very much so. They've had some pretty intense battles in the opening part of this season, the first 6 races. It's probably fair to say they haven't exactly been the best of friends, but as is sort of kind of traditional with Kelly Moss Road and Race, Jeff Stone, the team principal, took all the young drivers, to a cabin that he has a couple of hours to the west of where the team is based in Madison, Wisconsin. This is that team's home track for a couple of weeks, just a couple of weeks ago, for some sort of team bonding there, and everything went really well. They did some hunting and fishing and all the good sort of things that you do up here in the northern states, and they had a great time there. But there seemed to be a lot of love lost between the two of them at that start, because Kai van Berlo did absolutely no favours at all to Seb Brio. He got on the gas, as you say, from a very slow start and jumped ahead, and Parker Thompson right behind was ready for it, but he completely took Seb Brio by surprise, and as a result of that, Seb Brio lost a couple of positions. So that was it wasn't very friendly by his teammate, that's for sure. But this is an intense battle at the front of the field between these two, and they're both two very young chargers and both extremely talented, John.
Teammates, yes, Jeremy, because they're both being run by Kelly Moss Road and Race, but this isn't like a Formula team or even a two-car sports car team in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. If you've got two Porsches there that are run by the same team, they tend to be teammates. These are two young drivers who are battling to advance their career. So yes, they are both Kelly Moss Road and Race drivers, but they are in intense competition between each other for the top spot in the championship.
Well, yes, John, but this is sports car racing. This is not open wheel racing. As they move on up the sports car ladder, you're going to be driving with a teammate.
Good point.
And that is exactly why Jeff Stone does that team building each year, to take into the cabin, take all his drivers to that cabin, and really build a closer rapport between all of the drivers. Young driver Sebastian Carrazzo as well, part of that. He's also driving this weekend in another series, so he's going to have a busy weekend ahead of him. So, but the two Kai van Berlo and Seb Brio, they hadn't been getting along too well out on the racetrack, and the plan was to get them to work together a little bit more, but it doesn't seem to have worked. So plan B, I think, for Jeff Stone there.
We're on to plan B already, are we? Probably plan F or G by now. Seb, in fairness, Sebby to the family, but Seb to us. Sebastian has experience of sharing race cars. He's running GT4 both here in America and in other places. He's supported by Multimatic and has run for them in their program. So he has had that switch flicked in some respect to know what it's like to share a car. Now, we're not sharing a car here, but Van Berlo is still quite new to the sports car scene.
Yeah, but you've got a fair bit of experience in all sorts of different cars, though, hasn't he? Even some prototype cars over the last few years. So, just super talented is Kai van Berlo. Just 20 years of age. He's already had 4 wins this season. That's why he's leading the championship. But this is the first time that he started on the pole position. And that's only because of the fact that the grid was decided by championship points. Although he was fastest yesterday in the first practice session. The second practice session, it was Lee Keane who was fastest in actual fact, and that actually was the fastest time of the day yesterday. 2 minutes 10.0 was that time for Lee Keane in the second practice session. But just once this season has a pole winner go on to win the race. That was Seb Brio in the opening round of the championship. So Kai van Berlo wants to kind of end that streak of the pole winner not going on to win the race.
Eric Johansson, who had that incident early on for MRS GT in the number 14, the silver car with the stars and stripes, back in line. So this has been a good intervention of the safety car for him. We're coming down to 32 minutes to go. No pit stops in this race. It's normally a fast and furious battle to the end. The clear-up has been completed, and we'll be back to racing shortly for Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by Visit Cayman Islands here at Road America, America's National Park of Speed. So the advantage, Jeremy, of the restart with the safety car lights now out, the advantage for Kai van Berlo is it will be single file. He controlled it very nicely when it was side by side and the grid. Now he's got to do it single file, which in theory should be a bit easier, but it also does mean there's a bit more room on the front straight, and it's a very long run down to turn 1, as we've seen.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to be Yeah, as far as he's concerned, pretty similar to the start, because he was worried not about the guy alongside him at the start of the race. He was worried more about the guy behind him. And it's going to be Parker Thompson once again, who is trailing Kai van Berlo as they come up to the green flag. And for Seb Priaulx, he's going to be back in the 4th position now, as you say, single file. So he's got to make sure he gets a really good run out of that final corner and trying to get a bit of a slipstream and maybe make a move at turn 1.
Big name coming back to IMSA competition here in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by Visit Cayman Islands. Flying Lizard Motorsport. Keep an eye out for the number 68 car, Chris Palomo, up to 6th in the 991 class and looking to go further forward. It's a new take on a classic racing livery for the number 68, and Chris, very, very honoured indeed, I know, to be driving the Flying Lizard livery. Multiple champions in IMSA competition down through the years, and welcome back to the whole team. Just under half an hour to go, and Kai van Berlo's gone early. Coming through turn 14, I thought he might have done that at the start of the race. Everybody behind was in the middle of the corner with some steering lock applied, so it was difficult for them to get the power down. He jumped away, and that's a textbook restart for the young man from Europe. Top 4, all junior drivers, all career drivers looking to make their fame and their fortune in sports car racing, looking to grab the attention of Porsche Motorsport in Weissach in Germany and end up as Pat Long or one of the other junior drivers from down through the years who've come through to have a fantastic career. That was about textbook on the restart by Van Berlo.
It was, and as far as he's concerned, it was a textbook start to the race as well. So he's really ticking all the boxes here. Is the youngster from the Netherlands. He lives now in Miami, Florida. He's studying business administration at Miami University, but he's studied very, very well, because he's out in the lead right now and been chased by Parker Thompson for JDX Racing in 2nd place.
And being chased very hard at the moment, but he's eked out what for Porsche Carrera Cup racing, Jeremy, is, all right, not a comfortable lead, but it's something that you can work with. It means that he doesn't have to be compromising his braking point or his entry into any of the slower corners. He's heading down towards turn 12, Canada corner, now with under 28 minutes to go, and he can take the optimum racing line. He's not driving in his mirrors, focus forward, and he's driving away.
Yeah, he's got a supercar, as always, of course, from Kelly Moss Road and Races, number 3 car, this Children's Hospital of Alabama car. Had a lot of success in the past championships for Jacob Edson, for Roman DeAngelis, and others as well. It's been just a super successful car, and Kai van Berlo is doing his usual exemplary job in this car. He's extended his lead now just under a second as they cross the line to complete lap 5.
Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh watching the battles unfold. Started with 45 minutes on the track. That's quite a long race for the Carrera Cup car. Most of the rest of the world are half an hour, sometimes 35 minutes. Right on the outside edge of what these cars can do on their fuel. And you do have to manage the Michelin tyres. The car's brim filled at the start of this race, so they were heavy. Yes, we've had the intervention of the Porsche Turbo safety car, but you still have to get these tyres up to temperature and pressure. We've seen in the past, Jeremy, those that haven't understood that have really suffered in the last 10, sometimes even the last 15 minutes. So this is all important learning. This is all skills that will become important to these young drivers as they go through their sports car career.
Yeah, very much so. It's a steep learning curve for all of these drivers. There's Maxwell Root in that the More Speed Right Motorsport. So interesting collaboration between those two teams to run Maxwell Root in this championship. He's another guy who has had success in the old GT3 Cup Series as well, and he's battling in there. He's running right behind TJ Fisher and Lee Keen as well. That 3-car battle running for the 5th, 6th and 7th positions. Ooh, there's a slide.
Yeah, that was, I think that was Alan Betley leading the Pro-Am category, right in behind the other 311 RS car of Ryan Gates. They run the bright red cars, so it's all getting a bit fraught in the midfield. Van Berlo leads by a full second now from Parker Thompson in the red and white JDX Racing number 9 in second. Then Riley Dickinson and Seb Prio further back down the field. Bright yellow number 65 having a cracking scrap at the moment, but that is quite a long way back. The leaders are already over the top of the hill as they were climbing towards the start and finish line. Fastest lap of the race by Kai van Berlo and by Alan Metney in the iFly Kelly Moss racing car. He's in 11th and leading the Pro-Am category by a good second from Efren Castro for Team Hardpoint in the 65. So 99 and 65 battling there. The multicoloured 55 car is the leader for Goldcrest Motorsport in the 991 category. And that is Matt Holcomb from Georgia. Ooh, bit of dicing going on down at turn 5, and that again is the car that Jeremy was talking about. The blue and turquoise car is the number 7 of Maxwell Root in the Most Speed Right Motorsport collaboration, right in behind Top Motorsport, the silver and blue Porsche of TJ Fisher. That's 6th and 7th having the scrap. And just up ahead of them is Lee Keane in the bright red car. Almost looks like a stock car, that, Jeremy. The two 311 RS Motorsport machines are somewhat devoid of sponsorship, and when you just catch them from the front or the side, they almost look like a standard GT3.
Yeah, they do, don't they? But there's some great battles going on here in this race. It says that the veteran driver Lee Keane using every inch of pavement or whatever is hard there at the exit of the kink as he heads towards Canada corner point. He wasn't quite on the grass, but he was millimetres away from it. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to push the cars to the limit. A little bit further back, there's Bill Smith in a big battle there in car number 42. He's got Jimmy Libre, who's making his debut this weekend, just ahead behind him. And I think that's Matt Holt there as well, who was leading just. That's the battle for the 991 category. It's the Kurt Hunt who's right in there as well, and Brady Willingham just a little bit further back in 3rd position, but a super battle. And that helped.
Yeah, and also in there, I think that was, I think that's Dylan coming back through as well, isn't it? In the bright green car that we saw in the gravel earlier on. He's lost the lead lap for Dylan Murray in the BGB number 38, the bright lizard green car, just cresting the rise now. So this is all about, it's almost an extended test session for him. He will get some points, but if there's no attrition in the pro class, looks like he's going to finish at the bottom of the class in 14th in the pro category. But he is still running, so the speculation that we had earlier on about that car being fit to continue was correct. I do think the guys at Goldcrest and that blue number 29 from Jet Myshek is going to cause a few more hours of work, several hours of work for the Goldcrest mechanics to get that car back out for tomorrow, if indeed it is possible. Now, what can Sebastian Priaulx do? Currently sitting in 4th position. The car ahead is his nearest contender, that's 3rd, and that's Riley Dickinson in the Team Hardpoint EBM. They're going through the long right-hander at the carousel now, and he's not really gaining on the 53 in the works colours, carrying the logos of Porsche Austin, Porsche Centre Austin, shield livery on that 3rd place car. Ahead of him, the red and white JDX racing car of Parker Thompson, and ahead of him the white and green Kelly Moss Road and Race leading car of Kai van Berlo. Pretty much equidistant at the moment, with Lee Keane just a wee bit further back, getting on for 2 seconds away from Priaulx. But have no doubts, these young Chargers are on the ragged edge here, and as we've seen many times before, a small mistake will put you in the clutches of one of your rivals as the leader crosses the line again with 21 minutes to go, Jeremy.
Indeed, and he lost about a half a second compared to his previous lap this time around. Kai van Berlo does have the fastest lap of the race. He set that last time around on lap 7. He's completed 8 laps here of this 4.4 mile racetrack in a 45-minute race. And that lap by Kai van Berlo, that's a new race lap record for the Porsche series. The old one, well, it's not really a complete different car, isn't it? But the old standard in the 991 cars was a 2 minutes 12.0. That was set by Roman DeAndres back in 2019 for Kelly Moss Road race in the number 3 Children's Hospital car. 2 minutes 9.9 though for Kai van Berlo, so more than 2 seconds faster than the old car.
These new cars are a really tricky piece of equipment. There's a wee bit more adjustment to do, particularly on the aero, particularly on that very stylish rear aerofoil that's hung down on those swan necks. That's come straight from the Le Mans cars. The interior all different. It's an all new shell, of course, on the car. In fact, the only thing that stayed the same is the very lovely 4-litre flat 6, the Boxer 6 engine, putting out now over 500 horsepower. We do have ABS on the 992s, which we didn't used to have in the Pro class in the past, but all of the 992 Carrera Cup cars at the front of the field now have ABS, but they are very quick. Getting on towards, never mind GT4 levels of speed, Jeremy, but at some circuits they've been not that far away from GT3 class level times. That goes to show just what a big step forward these cars are, and I can't wait to see the 992 body shape in Porsche's new GT4 and GT3 category offerings.
No, that's a very good point. The race lap record for GTD in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship is a 2 minutes 6.9. That was by Jack Hawkins and Lexus back in 2019. So just within 3 seconds of that,
wow,
is Kai van Berlo so far in this race, and he just completed lap 9. He went not quite as quick, a 10.3 this time around for Kai van Berlo, and that gap stayed pretty constant back to Parker Thompson, doing a really nice job for JDX Racing in that second position.
Alan Metney in the silver iFly Kelly Moss car. Alan really getting to grips with this new car very quickly. Stands in 11th overall at the moment, so he's got a couple of pro cars behind him, including the McKenna coloured Porsche. That is the white and yellow number 11 car, the white and yellow number 88 car of Hutton McKenna. That car is 11th in its class. Not the same category of driver there, but Alan will be very happy that he's got a couple of pro drivers, including the JDX Racing number 2 behind him. That's Sean McAllister in the second of the JDX cars. And Alan has, of course, won races outright in the old category before we went to Carrera Cup. Big feather in the cap for IMSA to get these cars for their first racing season, and also to get the upgrade from GT3 Cup Challenge to Carrera Cup. It might just seem to you as it's a title and a form of words, but that and the bringing in of Michelin for the tyre supplier means that they are on the same level as all of the major Carrera Cups round the world, which gives the juniors the opportunity to go and compete with the end of season shootout for the best of the best of the best of the youngsters towards the end of the year in Europe. Great battle going on in 991. Matt Holcomb and Grady Willingham having a cracking scrap down there in the older cars. The man from Birmingham, Alabama, and that Goldcrest duo having a great scrap, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right. And Kurt Hunt, who was leading on the previous lap, he's fallen back to third place in the class now in 991. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Parker Thompson, he's closing in, isn't he, on Kai van Berlo. The last lap was a 10.8 for Kai van Berlo. So his last 4 laps are 9.9, 10.5, 10.3 and 10.8. 2 minutes 10.8 for Kai van Berlo. And Parker Thompson on that last lap in the second place car for JDX Racing was a full 4/10 of a second quicker than the race leader. So that buyers Porsche for Parker Thompson and Rainier Construction, he's doing a really nice job here. They've set that car up, they hope, for the latter stages of the race rather than the early stages of the race. And Kai van Berlo has got to kind of manage the pace here in the race lead if he's going to hold on to it. With Parker Thompson's got a lot of experience here at Road America in the Road to Indy. He's had some success. He's been on the podium in the past, and it's a track that he absolutely loves.
Fastest lap in 991, just gone to Chris Palomo and the Flying Lizard car. He's up to 4th now. I said keep an eye out for him, and he's lapping a good second quicker than Kurt Hunt ahead of him. He's just dropped back into 3rd position, as Jeremy mentioned. What a comeback, what a reintroduction for Flying Lizard Motorsport. Love to see them back. Fond memories of that team winning IMSA championships almost at will, it seemed, with Porsche, of course, inextricably linked with Porsche in their early years. Took the Flying Lizard logo and livery to Le Mans as well. Great to have them back. But at the front of the field, Van Berlo still leads out with just under 15 minutes to go. Just on a second as they cross the line this time. But there's no doubt in my mind that Thompson is just beginning to try and press Jeremy. There's just a little bit in that red, white and grey car that says to me he's leaning on it a little bit more. And Van Berlo had to react that time around. 2:10.4 for the leader, 2:10.7 for second, 2:11.1 for third, and Riley Dickinson in the hardpoint car, and 2:11 flat for both Sebastian Priaulx and Lee Keane. So gently and quietly, that top 5 are just starting to come back together. It's 10ths at the moment, but let's keep an eye open because we've still got well over 13 minutes to go.
Plenty of time, and that was a better lap for Kai van Berlo. 3 or 4 tenths of a second quicker than the previous turnaround. You know, he's got half a season of experience now under his belt, although we've still got this is the 7th race out of 16 this season, so not yet to the halfway point in the championship. And the second place driver in the championship, that is Seb Priaulx, he's still putting a pressure on Riley Dickinson, but not able to find a way past. And Kai van Berlo has just stretched out that lead just another couple of tenths perhaps on this lap as well.
Priaulx is closing in on Riley Dickinson. It's about a half a second as they head down to Canada Corner in the battle for 3rd and 4th. The 53 Team Hardpoint Porsche and the 15, the car with the gold and blue and the Multimatic logos on it, of Seb Priaulx for Kelly Moss Road and Race. It's a couple of seconds further back to Lee Keane in the bright red 311 RS Motorsport car, and he's got about 2 seconds on the More Speed Right Motorsport number 7, the teal blue and black Maxwell Route machine. That's your top 6. He's under 9 seconds for the whole of the top 6, and they are pushing, and Priaulx's getting the draft down the front straight now, and that half a second is now 3/10 of a second, and he might just have a chance into turn 1. TJ Fisher under pressure as well, a wee bit further back in the Top Racing silver number 58 from Eric Johansson in the MRS GT racing car. They're fighting across the line as Priaulx now, Jeremy, is there. Not quite close enough to strike, but close enough to be a nuisance to Riley Dickinson in 3rd.
Indeed so, and there's still 11.5 minutes remaining in this race, so still plenty of time, another 6 laps probably for Seb Priaulx to get right on terms and perhaps make a challenge for that 3rd position. But Riley Dickinson doing a nice job there, keeping focus ahead right now. He doesn't seem to be, he's not altering his lines to keep Sebastian Priaulx behind him. He's just focusing forward, setting a good pace and hoping that's going to be enough to get him to the finish in that podium position coming into this weekend. Just a pair of podiums for Riley Dickinson from the first 6 races, and as somebody who's been a front runner in the GT3 Cup Series in the last couple of years, it's been a little bit disappointing for him. So another podium here would be another step in the right direction for Riley Dickinson.
And for the moment, he seems to have just eased out a tiny little bit on Sebastian Priaulx. These cars are, although they are GT cars, they do have a degree of aero dependency. They are very quick through the quick corners. The price you pay there is if you follow somebody too closely, you don't get the benefit of that aerodynamic push from the wings and the bodywork to put you into the ground. The 2 silver cars battling at Canada Corner. TJ Fisher in 7th in the top racing, number 58. Then the Stars and Stripes car behind with the silver, GT silver that's called. Søren Johansen in the MRS GT racing, number 14. The silver colour is the supply colour of these cars. They all start life as GT silver. Nice change from them always being, Carrera Cup cars almost always used to be supplied in white, I seem to remember. And reams of them before we discovered vinyl and aero paint, indistinguishable from each other from a commentary box trackside with a pair of binoculars. Nobody thought about putting numbers on the front windscreens in those days, Jeremy. Many times I've had to call races where there were 26 white Porsches in the race.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. It's a lot easier now, and these cars do look fabulous with the different liveries on them, don't they?
Yes, yeah, and Johansson just getting again into the aerodynamic tour, the draft area, going down to turn 5, quite steeply downhill there, bit of a change of surface there, ongoing circuit improvements and refurbishments on the track surface. There's a few darker patches of racing surface around Road America. Just a slight change of grip as you get onto there. The darker bits tend to be the newer bits. Down at the entrance to the carousel as well. This is a decent battle, you know, going on for 7th and 8th in the pro category. Top Racing and MRS GT. Top Racing with another one of the teams with multiple entries, as are MRS GT. A few teams here that are running more than one car. Good battle as well for second in 991 with Grady Willingham for Goldcrest in the 21, Kurt Hunt and Chris Palomo for Flying Lizard. He's right there now, sniffs a podium as the Lizards are back in the white tangerine and black Flying Lizard car with the big Lizard logo on the front end. This is fantastic to see. That's 2nd, 3rd and 4th coming through the carousel there. Behind Chris in the blue coloured car. They're all chasing, by the way, we should say they're all chasing Matt Holcomb is away by a decent amount, but that is a really good battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th there.
It really is, and as you say, Matt Holcomb, he slipped behind them after the restart, but is pulling away at the front in that car number 55 in 991. But this is that was a super battle we're watching there. Grady Willingham and Kurt Hunt and Chris Baloman right with them now, and Tom Balamas is not far behind them either in that 5th position in 991. Whoops. That's Hutton McKenna, I think, taking the scenic route.
Yes, it
That's the top of turn 13. That's going to lose him on the ground.
Yeah, that's a very expensive lawnmower at that point, isn't it? A GT3 Carrera Cup car. But all the wheels are pointing in the right direction. All the Michelin racing tyres are still in contact with the racing surface, so that's a bonus. Just under, so got to take the good bits when you can get them. He didn't hit anything, and he's back on the track. Yes, get in. Hopefully nobody noticed it. Sorry, Hutton, we spotted it on the cameras. You can't get away with not telling your team about that one. Leader Kai van Berlo, 6.5 minutes to go through the kink. A 2.5 the gap back to Parker Thompson in 2nd in the white and red JDX Motorsport Porsche. JDX car with a little bit of grey on the back end of that car as well. Another smashing colour scheme. Really suits the curves of that car very well. And nice to see how the white and green, the Children's Hospital colours that we've seen for so many years on the number 3 car, that's transferred over nicely as well with those multicoloured handprints on the side. That's been well, it's becoming an iconic colour scheme, to be honest, that one. And just a little bit further back, the battle for 3rd position in the final step on the podium. So it's Riley Dickinson, 7 tenths to the good. But they are dropping away now, some, 4.5 seconds away from the leaders. And Lee Keane just beginning to find some pace. He may have saved some performance in his Michelin tyres. Wily old competitor is Lee Keane. And I say that with much respect for Lee, Jeremy. That 311 RS bright red car just beginning to reel the 2 youngsters in their battle for 3rd.
True that. Yes, indeed he is, and that was a car that was fastest of all yesterday in the 2nd practice session. He hasn't shown that sort of speed here yet, Lee Keane, but he's certainly not letting those 2 get away from him. The gap between the 4th and 5th place cars, with Lee Keane running in 5th place, was well over 2 seconds. So he's well more than halved that gap. So Lee Keane is certainly on the charge at the moment. And there is Kurt Hunt, who was running 2nd position in 991 off the road.
Yeah, and that looks like he has no fire in the flat 6. Looks like he's just pulled off there. He was diving down the inside at Canada Corner trying to make up a position. Oh no, oh dear. That's both of the rain-sponsored cars that have had problems. And that is a left front steering arm gone, and that, I'm afraid, was a over-exuberant lunge by Kurt. I don't think he's going to be able to get that car out of the way. It's right in the firing line as well there, Jeremy, down at Canada Corner, that grey and green car. Meantime, with just under 4 minutes to go, the leader continues what has been, since the start and indeed the restart, somewhat stately progress for Kai van Berlo and Kelly Moss Road and Race. This will extend his lead at the top of the championship. Absolute perfect way to start the weekend. Kept honest by Parker Thompson in 2nd, but in truth, Jeremy, other than behind the safety car, Parker has not been able to put a move and make anything significant in terms of trying to make a move on the leader.
No, he hasn't, and Kai van Berlo, his last 2 laps almost identical. 2 minutes 11.7, excuse me, for the race leader. He pulled out in about just only another 1/10.5 of a second of Parker Thompson on that last lap, but that's all he needs now with 3 minutes to go. It'll be a couple of laps around here, I think. Probably see the white flag next time around. But they pulled well away from Riley Dickinson. But Dickinson now, he's still got Prio. He's got the better part of a second over Prio. But Lee Keane has definitely not given up hopes of snatching away that 4th position from Seb Prio.
Yeah, Lee Keane is the man on the move, isn't he, really? He's now got into the aero wash from Dickinson and Prio. They're all within a couple of seconds of each other, 8 tenths. To Seb Prio, making that 1.1 seconds now, as Prio, I think, is now having to concentrate on holding on to 4th position, should I say, as Lee Keane is just 3/4 of a second back from him. And that is going to be a scrap all the way to the finish. They're just heading out of the carousel now, as the leader is already through the kink. It will be white flag, Jeremy, next time around for the leader.
Yeah, it will, and it's been another perfect race here for Kai van Berlo, looking to make it win number 5 on the season in just 7 starts, and the other 2 races he finished in 2nd place, so it's been a really fine performance all the way through this year for the young Dutchman, just 20 years of age.
Climbing the hill for the penultimate time, with just under 90 seconds on the clock. The white flag is in the air for the first of 2 races at Road America for Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by Visit Cayman Islands. And Kai van Berlo has held performance in his Michelin tyres. Intervention by the safety car will have helped all of the drivers, but this has been, Jeremy Shaw, a very measured race indeed. Pace consistently, tactically perfect on the start and the restart. This has been a pretty good race from the Dutchman.
That's exactly the right word there, measured, John Hindhaugh, because he has been measured, and this most recent lap of 1:11.4, that's his quickest lap for about 5 laps, so he's kept those Michelin tires underneath him, stretched his lead just a little bit, only by a tenth or two of a second per lap, but it's relatively comfortable now. That gap is stretched out to, I think it's the most it's been all race now, as he comes around through turn 7 and hurry down to turn 8. And it's been a really fine performance by this youngster.
He's got a future, Jeremy, hasn't he? We've seen how mature he has been, for one, in life years at least, still relatively young. He's been racing a very long time though, and he brings all of that experience to whatever he gets behind the wheel, to whichever car he gets behind the wheel of. And we've seen him in the pack racing, making sure that he gets the points that are on offer. We've seen him take his chances. What we haven't seen him do is make very many mistakes and very many risky moves, and that's how you win championships. And he's done a very good job indeed today.
Yeah, very much so. He started karting at the age of 8, moved into LMP3 cars when he was just 18 years of age, and he's been built up that experience nicely and taking full advantage of it here today at Road America.
He has not been headed. Started on pole position, didn't earn that, but he was leading the championship. That's what put him there, and he extends that lead in the championship with a win at Road America for the first of 2 races in Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by the Cayman Islands. And 1.8 seconds doesn't sound much, but really it doesn't do justice to just how well Kai van Berlo has raced today and how he has dominated a quality field of young drivers. In the Pro-Am category, you can say the same about Alan Metney for the iFly Kelly-Moss Racing number 99 Porsche. The GT silver car comes through, getting on for 2 seconds ahead of Efren Castro in second place. It'll be Kurt Swearingen in third for ACI Motorsports. And in the 991 Gen 2 Pro-Am class, well, a good run there for the number 55, Matt Holcomb, Goldcrest Motorsport, in almost a hippie Porsche colour, isn't it? I really like that, the mystery machine. Give the man a Scooby snack. He's heading for victory, ahead of a charging run from Chris Palomo in second, and Flying Lizard Motorsports celebrate their return to IMSA racing with a second place on the podium. That's a great drive from Chris, who picked his way through some of the carnage, but has made some good passes as well in the number 68 with the Tangerine logo on the front, and he takes second place by just half a second from Tom Balames for Kelly-Moss Road and Race. But at the front of the field, your podium is Parker Dickinson in third. Riley Dickinson in third, Parker Thompson in second. But no one had any answer to the speed, the guile, and the consistency of our winner, Kai van Berlo, for Kelly-Moss Road and Race. Jeremy Shaw, that increases his championship lead in the 2021 series.
Yes, indeed it does. With a 4th place for Prio, that'll be another 11 points gain. So he's doubled his lead in the championship, has Kai van Berlo over Sebastian Prio. 21 points now with the 8th race, a halfway point in the season coming up tomorrow. Well, a slowed down lap that will be very sweet indeed for Kai van Berlo, the man from the Netherlands, who has taken to this Porsche Carrera Cup North America in 2021 as if he was born to it. One of a slew of young drivers tempted in to the championship in its first year of Carrera Cup status by the opportunity
of a Porsche Junior status career drive, and he is stamping his authority on the championship as he heads into the pit lane. Another race tomorrow, and well, Kai has got the taste for victory. You wouldn't put it past him again. I presume, Jeremy, the grid for tomorrow will be set on the fastest race lap for today, which would put him on pole position.
Indeed so, yes it would, and that's been just a perfect performance all the way around. It's generally speaking for race 2, it's either the second fastest lap in qualifying or the best lap in the race, and since there wasn't qualifying, yes, it will be set on the fastest laps from today, so that will put Kai van Berlo on the pole position.